that Messi? Who's the guy?
Messi is the guy. Don't let anybody tell you. That was definitely the highlight. I would say that was definitely the highlight of my senior year. The longer you stay in the sport, the more experience you have, you're able to negotiate more. And I think there's a lot of opportunities for, well, what do I need to do? Because he just told me I wasn't going to play for the rest of the year. I was just so mad. And I was like, whatever, I'm just going to go out there, do everything I can. I end up scoring my first college goal. We all decided in that moment, like, we're not losing another freaking game. You know, we're gonna die on this field before we walk off with a loss. And we don't lose another game until the SEC tournament championship.
What's up, guys? Welcome back. We got Riley Mattingly on here today. A couple cool things about that is it's our first female guest, so super excited about that. And then just another hometown friend and getting her on to just share her story. So welcome on, Riley.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Technically, it's Riley Parker now.
Oh, shoot. Dude, so that's actually funny. I made the show notes and I put Riley Mattingly at first, and then you sent me your email and I was like, oh crap, it's Riley Parker.
No, it's fine. No, it doesn't matter.
But yeah, we'll put you on as Riley Parker for sure.
No, it's, yeah. Either way.
Welcome, Riley Parker. It's a pleasure to have you.
Yeah, thanks. I'm excited.
Yeah, we're super excited.
Likewise.
We'll start off just like getting to know you and kind of let Nick know how we know each other, and then we'll just roll with it. It's pretty smooth, so we'll get into it. So Riley and I went to high school, like I said, and we actually randomly knew each other, but didn't know each other like long before that. Her sister and my brother danced together, or maybe not together, but definitely at the same studio at Top Hat, right?
Yeah, we definitely. It's weird how often I think we cross paths without actually knowing each other until high school.
Yeah, I was like, for sure, like you and I, we didn't really know each other at all. Like we knew who each other were. We didn't talk at all, but then like Callie Carpenter, she danced with Davis. So like it was weird because we were in the same grade, but she danced with Davis. It was like a weird thing, just like because it was competitive dance. It was like it's like a 3-year age group, whatever it is. And so like they were better friends than me and her were, and then like 5 years later, me and Callie ended up being good friends in high school. And so it's just super weird, like the people you cross paths with and like don't even realize it until like 10 years down the road.
Right. Yeah.
It's a small world.
Yeah, so that's how we got to know each other, and then we crossed a great path that I freaking.
I was gonna let you lead.
It's one of my favorite things, like to tell people I did, and it sounds so dumb, but it's awesome. So like senior year of high school, me and Riley, me and Riley were Marcus baseball managers, in quote. So we both knew the head coach really well, and Riley was playing soccer outside of school with club soccer, and so she had like nothing. She had nothing to do. It was senior year, and I had nothing to do. Like the 8th period, whatever, and we were just like, Coach, like, do you care if I be your manager? He's like, yeah, come on. And so we'd go to the field every day at like 3:30 or 4, whatever it was. Some days we wouldn't even go. Like we'd just go home.
Yeah.
And, like the first, like I remember the first like week or two, he tried to like use me to like help out, and I was down. Like obviously, like I had been around baseball before, but like it wasn't my sport. But I was like down to help him and like do whatever I could. But like over time, Sherman was just like didn't even like look at us, and then he would like say bye to us when we were leaving. That was about it. We just sat in the dugout the whole time.
So the way I actually got into the baseball manager position is funny because I was going to graduate early. So like I played high school soccer, like freshman, sophomore, junior year. And then they made this new league where it's called like Developmental Academy. And if you played in that league, then you weren't allowed to play any high school sports. And so I thought I was going to graduate early. So I did all of my classes that I need to graduate in the fall. And then when the time came to like graduate and go to Alabama, there was a couple different reasons, but my mom didn't want me to go because I was 17, and she was like, "You're just a baby, you don't want." Like she didn't want me to go. And then like I had promised my my club coach I played for a club called Solar, I promised him that I wouldn't graduate early and I would see out like the rest of the season. So with those two things, like I was like, I can't go yet. So I didn't go. But then that left me with like, what was I going to do for that spring? And so my schedule was senior in, food science second period, and then I was a football aide and then a baseball manager. So I was only at school when I even went for an hour and a half. Like I would sleep in, show up, I'd get checked for attendance, and then like half the time I would just be like, oh hey, I'm gonna go to the bathroom, and then I would just leave. So
who were you the football aide for?
For Coach Atkinson, for Kevin Atkinson.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so like, and he didn't have me do anything. So like sometimes I'd go in there and we'd talk. I'd get his mail sometimes. But yeah, like so I'd come to school at like 10, and then like I'd leave 15 minutes later, or I'd like be there for an hour and a half. But then I was bored, right? So like I would write, this is so bad. I would fake teachers' notes and get my friends out of class, and we would leave and go because I lived right across the street. I lived right across the street from Marcus, and we had a pool, and it was the spring, so it's like getting warm and stuff. So I'd write notes and get my friends out of class, and we'd go to the pool, we'd go to my house and just swim for like.
I never caught a freaking note. I never caught a note. What is that about?
You just got lost.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
You were probably in an important class, though. I mean, I don't know what your schedule was, but
well, yeah. So I said 8th period earlier, but yeah, I guess it was like senior and first period.
Periods.
I had food science and oh my gosh,
Aquatic science.
Aquatic science, food science and aquatic science, something like that, and then senior out it was technically baseball.
Yeah.
But I mean, like Riley and I would like some days, like I said, we'd go home or we'd like chill in our car and like listen to music, or like we'd sit in the dugout and hang out for a while, or like we would just like they didn't care, and then we got to go to all the games and everything.
Yeah, it was awesome. And I do want to tell y'all the first time my driving up to the baseball field. This is so bad, but it was me and Meredith Sutton, and I don't think any of the guys knew that we were also going to be a baseball manager. And I think the baseball locker room, this is so bad, but the baseball locker room I think was really small, so the guys would just change in the parking lot. And so like it was like the first day, and so I wanted to be there early, like I wanted to be like, you know, ready to help any way I could. And so me and pull up. He's just like half dressed baseball players in the parking lot. I'm like, oh my god.
Did y'all to like come at like, I remember that now. Did y'all have to come like after like 4 o'clock or whatever it was, right?
Yeah. So we had to. So from that point on, we were like, oh, we got to come like when they're not in the parking lot later. And so
it's not your fault, obviously. I mean, like if they're in the public, like come on. But also, it's crazy. Like sorry to cut you off, but that reminds me, like the locker room was so small, and like I wasn't on the team, but that was the most successful team we had in all of our sports, like on a consistent basis, and they had the worst facilities possible.
Yeah. I'm surprised they haven't done some upgrades to it, but yeah, I know, I was surprised too. Not that any of those guys I think even cared. Like I think they were just as fine to change outside their cars. But I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. And I'm so embarrassed. But because like, obviously they're all like, who are these girls driving in the parking lot? And they're all half dressed. And I'm like, geez, this is not a good look for me.
Not a good start.
There's a lot of pregame adjustments required, especially in baseball. So that, I mean, I think changing out by the car gives you a lot of free space. So if you're in a tight locker room, totally makes sense to be out there and like, you're a little bit exposed, but
yeah, me and Gilmore though, I feel like we had the best time though, because I mean, like we really didn't even do anything, and we would just like mess around. Like I think I have a picture on my phone of you wrestling Sherman to the floor. Like just it was so fun. That was definitely the highlight. I would say that was definitely the highlight of my senior year. But yeah, that was a lot of fun.
It's weird because I think I took it for granted, to be honest. Like, I'm not trying to be like a cliche or whatever, but like I look back and I'm like, dude, that was actually like so much fun. We just do whatever we wanted, and then the team was good. Like we went to the fifth or sixth round of playoffs. Like we were in I think it was like the state or the regional finals. So you're like a series away from going to the state championship or whatever it was. So we were like, I think we were that far. But anyways, we got to play in Globe.
Globe Life Park?
Globe Life. Well, yeah, they're the same name, but like field or
right. It was right before they renovated it, right?
Yeah, it was like the year or two before.
They're
probably rebuilding it while we were in there. But yeah, we got to play in there, and like I remember, I didn't throw at all because my arm sucked, but I got to go out and like warm up like Mason Cayley or something on the outfield. So it was a sick experience. I wasn't even playing, but yeah, we had a lot of fun. I remember. One of the most memorable things I remember is I think it was round 3 or 4. We were at like the Coppell Fields. We had like gone to Six Flags for our senior trip, and we were dead tired. And then we went to we had to go. Me and you were both like, we do not want to be here right now. Like, we just go.
Yeah, we were so mad that we had to go.
It was like hot. It was hot as crap, and like
it was blazing hot. It was horrible.
Yeah, dude. Honestly, I forget about it a lot when I do think about it. Like, such a fun time, and like. All those dudes in there were awesome guys, like fun to be around. Like it was a great like culture to be around for sure.
Yeah, it was such a great group, and then like obviously being a girl thrown into that, I didn't know how it was gonna go because like my dad coached Coach Sherman when I think he was either in middle school or high school, but like I didn't know how it was gonna go, and I didn't want to overstep. Like, but everybody was just like so chill and cool, and like. Just happy to have me there too. And I remember when we lost and we all like everybody was going to sign their name on the outfield.
Oh yeah.
And like I wasn't gonna go because I was like, no, like this is kind of like their team. Like I didn't want to. And they're like, no, Riley, come on. And I was like, thanks, guys. Like just for them to include me in something so like little as that. Like yeah, that was such a great group. That was just so much fun.
I want to keep talking about it.
Was Ryan Hunt on that team?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was he played the best.
That's a little context there.
No, yeah, he was on the podcast. It makes sense. I think he was left field that year. He played outfield for sure. I know him and Blake were out in the outfield. But the last thing about this, I know like we keep talking about it. They were like I remember I walked in there. I knew most of the guys on the team, but there were some guys I just like didn't know my first day, and like but they were all like you said, super cool and like welcoming and like happy that you were there. Like I wasn't posing a threat to them. Like I wasn't the new first baseman coming in to steal someone's spot. So they were just happy I was there.
I know. Okay, last thing about it, because I feel like we could talk about just those experiences for so long. But do you remember when Sherman was like, Cap, Will Kapler, he was like, Cap, go get the keys to the batter's box. And Cap's like freaking out. He's like, I don't know where the keys. And there's like, no, like, it's the batter's box. Like, there's no actual box. Cap is leaving for like 15, 20 minutes. And like, Sherman's like, acting so mad at him. He's like, where are the keys?
Dude, he was
like just running around.
If you knew this kid, he's like looking around like this, like just clueless. Like I don't remember that, but I can just picture it so much right now.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
That's a hilarious prank.
To cap it off, like just a great group, like awesome to be around. Had a lot of fun. A lot of dudes went on to play collegiate baseball, like loaded team. Just a great time. And that's kind of where like Riley and I were friends, but we really like grew to be better friends and like made like a strong bond there. And we were able to like we said, like we were talking about like just whatever it was that was happening in our day or like was going on in our life. We were able to come there and like decompress, hang out, like have a good time, or like if we needed someone to talk to, like we were like good friends for each other. And so I remember like we had some talks like about whoever it was that was pissing us off that day or it was bothering us. Like we could always go to each other and just talk, and like super good time for us. Like really became good friends.
Yeah, those are therapy sessions for sure.
Yeah.
You have to talk through some stuff.
Yeah, it was awesome time. But I guess like leading into it, like we kind of got we know you now, and like the connection between us all. Like you talked about it earlier. The only reason you were really there is because you were trying to figure out your way to get to the next level, which was Alabama. And I don't even know how to lead you into this. It's just like there's so much to talk about with Alabama, and I guess we can start with your recruiting process if you want. Like take us through like what that was like, and where the offers were at, and like kind of what you were doing that like in high school and then leading into it.
Yeah, for sure. I think one, so I'll kind of start at like freshman year because I feel like that was kind of the beginning. Well, like I played for the same club for like when I was 8 years old to 18. Same club, same coaches. Not a lot of people can say that. There was a lot of like people still now, like a lot of bouncing around. So I was in a really unique situation, and just like how close my team was and with the coaches. Um, and then so since like my first practice that I went with this team, he was like, I was 8 and his name's Derek Massimo, and he handed me this bag of training gear when I was 8, and like I had Mattingly on the back, and like you wore it wasn't like ragtag, like we wore white on Monday, gray on Tuesday, like he was already training us for the next level at 8, and so it's kind of crazy. Like when you hear other people's experiences and it's like not that because that's all really I knew. And he handed me this bag and he was like, if you play for me, you will play Division I college soccer. And I'm like 8, not even knowing what that is. And I'm like, just stars. I'm like, yes, like whatever. I just love soccer and I want to play at the highest level. And so I was like, I'm in. And like, it was such a intense like first practice. My mom thought that I wasn't going to want to go back. And I was like, I loved it. Like I never wanted to leave. I never missed practice. And it was such like an elite training environment for young kids. And the standard was so high. So like from the time I was 8 to 18, I think we lost 5 games. And so like I wasn't used to losing ever. And so when I got to Alabama, it was kind of a wake-up call. But when I was a freshman, I feel like not a lot of people know this. And when I told some of my teammates at Alabama, they were like, you should not tell people this. But I like to talk about it because, one, it just shows you like it was definitely a huge adversity point, a challenge, like probably the first like real hurdle, I guess, in my soccer career. So
Are you talking about high school right now? Sorry, freshman year high school?
High school. My bad. So at tryouts for high school, and like that team was stacked. Do you remember? I mean, like Taylor.
All 4 years they were loaded.
I mean, just absolutely talent out. Yeah, but so my club had like preseason camp at the same time as tryouts. So I split the time between tryouts and my club camp because club was the priority for me. Well, basically all my friends made varsity and they came to me and they were like, hey, we're going to put you on JV because we didn't see you enough, but we're going to practice you with varsity some and see where you land. And like, pretty arrogant kid too. Like, I mean, that's just, I first of all was offended that they would do that to me. Then I was like, okay, like it's just because I didn't come to the whole tryout. And so like school starts, I'm on JV and like they never give me the chance to try out with varsity. And so then I was 14, like I was acting out, like I was like obviously mad because, they told me I was going to get the chance to practice with varsity and I hadn't had that chance yet. And so I was mad, and then just kind of a rough relationship with the coaches. And I wanted to quit so bad, but like season was about to start and I'd call my parents. I'm like, I'm quitting. Like, I don't want to play on JV. Like, I want to play with varsity with all my friends. And like, you wouldn't think it was that big of a deal, but like, it was so divided. Like, I was never around them. Like, my closest friends, like, now I had to be friends with all these new people and they're having a blast playing on varsity. And then I was like, obviously my pride took a hit because I was like, am I not as good as these other players? So I wanted to quit. And then the coach basically pulled me in because I was acting out. And I had so many meetings freshman year. And he was like, basically, what's your problem? And I said, you told me I was going to get a chance to practice with varsity and get a chance to prove myself, and I never got that. And he said, you want to know why you're not on varsity is because you're too slow, you don't play fast enough, and you're just not good enough. And you'd be a waste of my time and your time if I put you on varsity. And I refused to cry in that meeting, but I was just like, I mean, obviously that was the most hurtful thing I could have ever heard.
You're 14 years old, like, oh God.
Yeah. And so I left the meeting and I called my parents and I was like, this is it, I'm quitting. And my dad's like, I don't want to hear any more of this. You're quitting. Like, are you quitting or not? And I just thought about it, and I had made so many good relationships on the JV team that it just didn't feel right for me to like abandon that team. Like I had, we were all playing together and like it was kind of rough at first, but then we really all got super close. And so I was like, no, I'm not going to leave this team. So I decided to stay on JV instead of just quit. And then like halfway through the season, through JV, my freshman year, so I played the first half of the soccer season for JV. And then one day JV was scrimmaging varsity. And at the scrimmage, they just threw me a varsity penny and said, Riley, you're with varsity today. And I was like, all right. And so played with varsity, like played well. And like then the JV coach was like, hey, Riley's going to play on varsity now, like in front of the whole JV team. And JV was like mad because they were like, no, like she's with us. We just played half the season with her. Like, no. Right. And like, I was like, I kind of got what I had originally wanted, but then I was kind of sad because I was like, I invested so much into this team and now just to be like moved up to varsity so now I wasn't with my friends on JV and now I was with another team who had kind of made fun of me for being on JV. And so the next game, varsity warmed up in all black. This is kind of getting to be a long story, but this is just crazy. I feel like this is
important. It's a lot of important background.
Yeah. Definitely to just like my development as a player. But so that game we were playing Louisville and varsity got to warm up in all black. I mean, like sharp, nice stuff. And they didn't even let me pick out of the numbers that they had left. So they just threw me 31. And I was number 3 on JV because one of the upperclassmen wanted 23. I was 23 in club. But I liked the number 3, so I was number 3. And then so they just threw me 31, basically like the trash number,
Numbers are important. Numbers are very important.
Numbers are important, yeah.
It's part of your identity.
Yeah, seriously. And they didn't give me any of the warm-up stuff. So I just stuck out like a sore thumb, and I was so embarrassed because I was in like Marcus red, and everybody else is warming up in black. So like obviously one is not like the other. And he doesn't play me the whole first half. And I'm just sitting there on the bench like, why did you call me up if you weren't even going to play me? Like, why?
Right. Let me play the JV game, get some work.
Yeah, at least let me play. And so then he put me in the second half, and I never came out ever again. Like I started and I played every game, and me and the coach never talked about it. We never spoke about it. We ended up having a better, like, growing our relationship over the years to come. But by the next year, he was like, oh, what number do you want? Like he wanted me to pick another number. And I was like, oh, I'm good with 31. Like it was like kind of like a screw you kind of move I just wanted to keep that and just for it to be a reminder to me and like, and to him too. But like that banquet, I was sitting with varsity but I got JV awards. So it was super weird and uncomfortable because like they call the whole varsity team up and they don't call me up, even though I played on this team for the whole second half of the season. So I'm just like, this is horrible. Like I'm just sitting here. My friends on JV are sitting over there and they're like, we wish you were with us. And I'm like, dude, me too at this point. This is weird.
Yeah.
like, so JV does their awards first, and I get like MVP of the JV team that I played half of the season on.
Right.
And so I like have to stand up from the varsity table and go get it. And like, obviously that meant a lot to me that they would even vote me as that, and only playing with them as, for half a season. But then varsity, like, I wasn't in the video. I wasn't in like, so I just kind of had a bitter taste in my mouth. And then I played varsity sophomore and junior year. And then obviously I didn't get to play senior year, which led to some, I wouldn't say bad blood, but it was definitely a point of contention between me and the soccer team. Yeah. Yeah.
Not to talk about them, but I love giving you crap because so Nick, our girls team, the varsity, they made it to the state championship. Like we were loaded. Like we were stacked.
This is your senior year or 4 years?
Senior year. Like we were loaded. Like not even without Riley, the team was loaded. Like
right.
And so had Riley, I always tell him, like, bro, like as you play, we would have won. Like you cost us a championship. And I it hurts her. I don't mean it. I like rude, but we went to the game together or something like that. We were sitting to the game together watching it, and when we were all there, we were sitting down, and we were all like just like giving her like little. I mean, and it probably was like not the right time, but just giving her little jabs and like, come on, dude. Like, and like Olivia Kovac too. Like we're like, dude, like if you two were out there, like we would be winning this game right now. Like, and there's no question about that.
Olivia was out there.
I thought she quit senior year.
No, she was out there.
Hey?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I'm tripping then.
Yeah, she was out there, but yeah, you and everyone else, Gilmore, was hating on me. And like, I was like, guys, like, that was a tough time because like, obviously, like played freshman, sophomore, junior year. And then I told the team like, hey, I don't think I'm going to get to play next year because like I'm going to play with my club team. And they were not happy about that. And then they made a run at state, and the whole year, I mean, I'm talking about not just students, but teachers. Teachers telling me in the hallway, they're like, oh, you're going to be so mad whenever they win state without you, and you could have been on that team. And I'm like, like inside, so upset, but like, I was like, this is, I chose this, I'm not going to regret my decision. And then at the state championship game, it was kind of like a lose-lose for me. Cause like if they lost, now it's my fault.
Why didn't you play? Right.
Yeah. Why didn't you play?
Win. It's like you didn't get to win.
Right. So and I wanted them to win. I wanted them to win so bad because they deserved it. And they were, I still think that they were the better team. And I wanted Marcus, like I wanted that for Marcus to have, that state championship. Cause I think would have been the first one since like 2005 or something crazy like that.
7 maybe. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe one of those, but yeah. So anyway, sophomore year, I was definitely like a big piece to my club team, but I think I peaked later in high school, but the rules used to be differently. So you could commit whenever. Like I had girls on my team that were committing when they were in 8th grade. Like by sophomore year, there was 5 of us that were uncommitted on a roster of like 23. And everybody's, like tensions are high. They're like, oh yeah, so-and-so just ran out of money. So-and-so just ran out of money. Did you see so-and-so committed? And I'm like, dang, I just wasn't getting a lot of looks. And, cause like I was a bit undersized and, I feel like I was a bit underrated as a player, too. But, again, like I said, like, I think like I was a good player, but I don't think I was like the best on my team, at that time, especially. So it kind of sucked, but, I went and took visits at TCU and SMU, and they offered me partial scholarship. And I was like, dude, I can't afford this. Like,
right.
Even with partial scholarship, like these are private schools. Like, so I go to, an Alabama camp. I was either going to go to Alabama camp or the Kansas camp. And my mom was like, the Kansas camp, their website's down. Let's just go to Alabama. And I was like, Alabama? Like, what is... I'm like, aren't they a bunch of cheaters? Because that's all I'd heard. Like, their football team. We hate their football team. Like, I didn't know. So I went. I had a great camp, but I didn't think the coaches really liked me. Like they didn't really. I felt like they didn't really notice me much, and I thought they liked my friends that I was there with, and so I was like, oh, okay, like kind of sucks, but if it's not the place for me, it's not the place for me. I don't want to force it, and so I went to the Phoenix showcase, and then my club coach came up to me and was like, hey, Alabama wants you to come on an unofficial visit. And I was like, okay, like I didn't think they liked me, but whatever. Go on the visit, offer me a scholarship. And like I was so excited on my visit. Like I just felt like that's really where I was supposed to be. And it felt like home. And I kind of wanted to get out of Texas and do something different, like go try some other thing, like see another place and all that good stuff. So I committed over Thanksgiving break of my sophomore year. So I was 15 years old. And so like I'm 15 and where you're going to college, So like everybody else when they're juniors and seniors, so like, oh, got these applications and all this stuff. And then I didn't know I had to apply for college. This is how dumb I am. I'm like, I thought they just let me in.
Offer like I'm in.
Yeah, I'm committed.
I'll be there August 1st. Like, let's do it.
Yeah. Just So yeah, so dumb. But they the way Wes kind of got me though, the coach at Alabama, he's like, you've already played on a team that has had so much success winning, and you could go be another player on another really good team, but you would just be, like you might do really well, but you would just be another good player on this good team. And he was like, why don't you come like help me build something here at Alabama, and you could be a part of, the conversation of building a respected, championship program at Alabama. And I don't know why, but that just like, I was like, yes, like that is what I want. Yeah. And so, and then he took me and talked to talk to the gymnastics coach, and we were sitting there, and my dad and I, we kind of have our verse, and I know it's kind of popular, but it's Proverbs 27:17. It's like iron sharpens iron as one man does to another. And that was kind of our verse saying like, if you want to be the best, you want to play with the best. And we were sitting there, and she says that verse, and my dad and I, like look at each other. And we're like, this is it, like
meant to be.
Yeah, it's meant to be. It's meant to be. So yeah, I committed, and it was great. Like to have that weight lifted off your shoulders at that young was super nice. But then getting to Alabama was a whole other just.
Yeah. So I kind of want to stop you right there, because when we get to Alabama, like there's a lot that I know we've talked about before, but we really want to dive into. A little bit of background. So I don't want to go too far back, but I remember like there was like the state game when we lost it. And we were saying how teachers were like giving you crap for like, oh, like when we win, like you're not being on the team. And I remember you were like, you said there was a lose-lose, but it was like look like a lose-lose win, because like it was like kind of like shove it to them, like because they were like rubbing it, not actually, like kind of just giving them a hard time. Like you wanted me to be on the outside of a win, and we lost, so screw you. But no, it's funny.
Like a teacher pulled me out of class to lecture me about that I wasn't playing high school soccer. And I was like, what is happening?
Yeah. That's when like sports, because like sports and like outside life like crosses where it doesn't need to cross. Right.
And like there was random stuff like I would get in fights in elementary school, and none of the teachers would send me to the principal's office, because they didn't want to be the teacher to send me to the principal.
And the principal, and so like the principal, right. Yeah.
Right. And so it was just kind of like I knew what was going on, but I was like, why don't you just treat me like a regular kid? Like, why should it matter? And like freshman year, I got in trouble for eating in the locker room, and I went to the principal's office for it. And it was this huge ordeal, because they were like, I literally heard them. They're like, what do we do with her? She's Jennifer Mattingly's daughter. We don't want to cause a ruckus. And I'm like, what is happening? Like, this is so
be like a kid. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, just give me the attention. I don't know. So yeah, it was different for sure.
Yeah,
It's
shout
almost
out.
a way to test you too. Like
Yeah,
test and see how much you can get away with, which like someone who's so young and like I guess impressionable, but like still naive and learning. It's
right.
like it's kind of a risky measure for you, right? Like because like all right, let me see what I can get away with, and of course the kid's gonna try that.
Yeah, of course. Like I told y'all, I wrote my friends fake teacher's notes and got them out of class
Yeah.
because I felt
You knew how
confident.
it worked.
I felt confident enough that I was going to do that, and like I knew everyone, so like I wasn't honestly. Nobody would even question me, even if I had I had the teacher's note for precaution, but like they'd be like, "Oh, it's just Riley,"
Right.
"Oh, it's just
Yeah.
Riley,"
She
like
is the pass herself. Like the name is the pass
yeah,
itself.
yeah, and
Yeah.
so it's just yeah weird. Like I'd be in the teacher's lounge, like no student's supposed to go in the teacher's lounge, and they're
It's
like, "Oh,
forbidden.
what's
That is
up?" I'm
forbidden.
like,
Yeah. Yeah.
"Yeah."
But yeah,
So
shout out Miss Mattingly. Always a joy to like, see her and love talking to her whenever I randomly just cross paths. But you said
yeah,
a couple good things in there, and Nick kind of touched on it. Um, it is like you're always being watched, but it's like you're trying to like push the line, see what you can get away with, but also like always being watched builds integrity. Like you have to know like you're doing the right thing like at all times, even if no one is watching. Like you were watched for so long that you did the right thing, and now like it's just natural to you. So like that's something awesome. And you said that you're an arrogant little kid and like whatever. I think what it was is you were just so, and like you kind of talked about it at your early club phase with soccer. You've just always been like super competitive. Like anything you were a part
yeah,
of, you had to win. And I think I mean like that's relatable to me and Nick. I think like when I look at it, like any friends that we have on here, like people we bring on, like they're all like super competitive people. Like they like have this like desire to win whatever it is, whether it's a board game or it's a soccer game, right? We have
right,
to win. And I think that's like you've always had an edge to you since I've known you, at least through the high school times and like seeing you throughout college. Like just something that was, I don't know if it was instilled into you like from your parents or if it was that first soccer coach, but just always had like a desire to work. Just it's just another common theme we've seen on this podcast we've started. Just every guest we get like just has this drive.
yeah. I think like that's what's so awesome about sports to me. Like and that's where the fans of a team and the players of the team, like that's where it crosses over. Like even though they aren't playing, they're just as passionate about the game at hand. Like
Right.
it's live or die. So that's the cool part. Like it's always fun to see fans, and I know we'll get into it in a little bit about Mexico, but
Yeah,
just
that
like
was insane. Yeah.
I mean, even with Alabama fans, like I don't play on the football team, but if Alabama football loses, my week is done. My week
Yeah.
is over. Like it's done. Mark it on your calendar when Nick Saban retired. Worst day ever. Like so. But that's the cool part, I think, where athletes and fans share that competitiveness and like the want to win for this uh, team. Like
Right.
you're for the same
Nick,
team.
I kind of want to segue this question to you and kind of get your thoughts on this. Like me and Nick obviously are super fans of sports. Like we love stuff, and one thing that I love doing and that we talked about with Ryan is like I'm a fan of people that I know getting to the next level, and I think it's super cool because it's an opportunity that not a lot of us get to do, and you kind of talked about it like with your recruiting process and how that was going. Like me and Nick, like I don't know if Nick was ever recruited for wrestling or not, but like I never experienced a recruiting process, and so like being like just like following your process and like following like people other people too, like their process of getting to the next level. It's super cool to like to see that. And um I've always just been like a big supporter of it. But Nick, I want to hear like what what do you what do you think a 14-year-old is like, because we never did it. I just want to hear what Nick has like, what you have to think, like what do you think a 14-year-old is thinking when they're going to these universities and they're like about to sign to commit themselves for 4 years later to commit for 4 years, right? Like it's a crazy concept. And whenever you said, Riley, that you're like, oh yeah, like there's eighth graders committing, me and Nick both at the same time, like that's crazy. Like that, I mean, they're, how old are they in like eighth grade? Well, 11, 12, and
Yeah,
13,
12.
something like that.
they're committing to their when they're 18 to go somewhere for 4 years. Like I don't know, just like Nick, did you ever have a recruiting process for wrestling or anything like that?
Um, I was getting, I had interest from a lot of programs, mostly D2, but I'm gonna, I'm gonna pick Riley's brain on a few things, but and then I'll bring it all in. But because I think to have someone decide what they're gonna do at 14 years old, and Riley, for perspective, what we talk about all the time is part of why this podcast came about is because when you start college and you're supposed to become an adult and sign on to all these things, and we're talking about 18-year-olds. We're not talking about 14-year-olds deciding their future. So to put that into perspective, a 14-year-old deciding where she's going to go, where they're going to go for the next 4 years, I can see that maybe not to make this a bad thing, but it could be predatory practices where it's they'll bring you and your parents through the best part of the campus to be like, look how great it is. Alabama's the best. We just won 2 national titles in the past 3 years. Why wouldn't you want to go here? Look at what you can have. I could see that being a big thing, just rose colored glasses and, thinking that this is going to be the best 4 years of your life. And also at 14, you're generally unaware of mostly adult things that go on in college. And so when you decide at 14 and then you hit college at 18, it's I can see it's very easy to lose your way, especially at a big campus like Alabama or any other Division I school that just has a amazing environment like that. And how do you not get caught up in that? That's my perspective on that. That's unreal.
Yeah. I just I remember going. Well, first of all, recruiting at that age. That's why I'm glad that the rule has changed. You could make an argument that it was nice when you were a freshman, sophomore. But 13 and 14-year-olds have no business being on the phone with these grown men trying to make conversation about what?
Yeah.
Just to try and get you from 4 years from where you are now, where you may not even be the same player that you are.
You might not even be playing anymore.
You may not, exactly. So I'm glad the rule has changed. But I mean, obviously 16-year-olds, you have to make a decision at some point, even though you're 16. But I vividly remember, first of all, I would say I'm pretty decent with adults too, just in the situations that my mom had me in, just being around adults at a young age and being able to interact with them. But when you're trying to sell yourself to a coach and make sure you don't say the wrong thing, or you don't want them to think that you don't work hard, and you have to be polite and respectful, and you're just so focused about every single word that you are saying. On the phone, I would hate calling them because I'm this is so uncomfortable on the phone, and then
it's not you.
Yeah, it's not natural. And then I remember being at Alabama on the golf cart, being driven around campus, and I was 14, 15, and a junior was my this junior girl was my host, and she's like, "Oh, what do you want your major to be?" And I'm like, I have no idea. I can't even drive. I don't know. And she's like, oh, and then she's, partying and stuff like that. And I have no concept, no idea. So yeah, I mean, I'm definitely glad the rules are different now for kids, and they don't have to do that until they're juniors, because at least think about how much you change from freshman to sophomore year, from sophomore to junior. You change so much anyway. So you're at least in a little bit better decision. And now I'm glad too. Yeah, I'm glad I didn't have to go through the NIL stuff, because that stuff seems like
ridiculous.
Another layer of something to worry about. Yeah. So not that it's not cool, but yeah.
It'd be nice to be making millions of dollars as a top athlete before you're 18 years old or whatever. But, yeah. But that adds like we talked about before, is the pressure, the all eyes on you. You can't step out of line, and especially at that age of you wanting to. It's very easy to make the fun decision rather than the right decision, it's going to go, and that's going to carry you for the rest of your life, especially in social media now. Like these people where they get canceled from something they did 10 years ago, right or wrong, like it's still something that is going to follow people from now on.
Yeah.
But something to relate, you had me think about it, especially when you asked about recruiting for wrestling. So wrestling was never my number one. I did it because it was just it. Actually, I walked into the wrestling room as a freshman because like, hey, I was like, all right, my dad did it, so I'll see what I got. And then also I was like a chubby freshman, so I was like, I want to get in shape and look good. So like, and I knew that would help. So baseball was always my number one. So talking about like what you were saying before, Riley, on the high school team, like between JV and varsity, talk about getting like a massive chip on your shoulder, like something that just drives you to push even harder and be better. I imagine that probably helped for you in the long run. But I had zero interest from baseball recruiters, and that pissed me off, and like that contributed to me like never really having interest in college sports after high school, and like even contribute. Like I could have gone and played D1 wrestling, and because I was a little jaded by the fact that I had no baseball recruitment, I was like, I'm done with this altogether. Like this, I'm just going to go enjoy life as a college kid. And I think that decision, like, you could always look back and be like, all right, where would I be today had I made a different decision? Obviously you can't do that, but I don't know if I'd be, I think it helped develop me who I am. You make missteps along the way, and as long as you have a good head on your shoulders, you can figure it out and get back on the right path and be like, man, that was some shady years, but I needed that to really grow up. I think it's an important thing.
Yeah, for sure. It definitely, it sucks at the time going through it. And then especially when you're looking around and you're like, why is nobody else having these problems? But then later on, you're grateful for it, right? You're like, wow, I wouldn't be the person I am today without that. So even though it sucks at the time, it's like huge shaping moments.
Yeah.
Cool.
So
and the other thing I wanted to bring up too, sorry, real quick, this is the last that I've been holding in for a bit, but when you talked about number 31, taking that and a big fuck you to the coaches. So the way I look at that, like, hell yeah, that was like, I fuck with that. That was like the decision I would have made. Like, that's awesome. And to the same, like, to add to that is like, when you were a freshman and they put you on JV and they didn't put you on varsity, that was a business decision for the coach there. He's like, yeah, he said all those things. You're not fast enough. You're not big enough to, you can't, compete with the other players on the varsity level. That was his business decision. And then you make it up to the team. You get, this jersey you're like, I don't want 31. And then you owned it. And then by the end of your career, and then junior year going into senior year, you're like, I got to make a business decision for myself. I'm going to play club. This is how I'm going to get to the next level for me. Like, I love my team. I love my coach. I love my, everything about the sport. But in that same vein, for me to continue this love, this passion for it, I'm looking at Alabama, and I have aspirations beyond Alabama. So, best of luck to y'all, but it's a business decision, just like you did to me.
Yeah, that's such a good way to put it. And I never really thought about it like that, but I mean, 100%, like it sucked so bad to have to sit there and say like, yeah, I'm not going to come back for my senior year. But I mean, like you said, business decision, like it was never about playing high school. It was about playing at the next level and playing at the next level. Like, so, I mean, sometimes you got to look at the big picture, and I never wanted to make selfish decisions, but in terms of just like what was best for my career path and what my goals and aspirations were, like, yeah, like it wasn't a question, but yeah, business decision for sure. It was never anything personal, no matter how personal it seemed to get after that.
Yeah.
But I never really thought about it like that, but that's the best way to put it for sure.
Sometimes you just gotta do what's best for you, and like it sucks, and there's things that's not gonna be perfect, right? But it's It's what's best for you to get you to where you're going. And so speaking of the next level, like we talked about your recruiting process, and like you went to Bama, and the coach was like, he's telling you that you could be on a great team, and you could contribute to that, and have a good career, whatever. Or you could come here and you could build a program and be a part of something that's yours, right? And so I know, like, you get to Bama and like maybe it wasn't exactly what you thought it was, or like maybe the team this wasn't where you expected, or I want to hear your thoughts, because just like I know the team wasn't good when you got there. I want to know like how good you thought it was, or when you were going there, like were you like expecting to win like a decent amount of games to be okay, or was it like just a shell shock?
It was so bad, guys. I can't like begin to describe. Well, I will actually. I can begin to describe it. So on my visit, and like I think to be a next level player, you have to obviously, like Gilmar, what we were talking about, like the edge. Like there's you have to have that extra something, be a little off in the head.
A little crazy, right? Yeah.
I got to be a little crazy. So like when I was 15, I went on my visit to Alabama when I was a sophomore. I was at their practice, and I looked at my dad. I can't even believe I'm telling you this. I looked at my dad and I said, I could put my cleats on right now and dominate.
Yeah.
It's like,
little crazy, but maybe true, right?
Maybe, yeah. But I mean, like there were some good players at Alabama, but as a whole, it wasn't like it hadn't been treated like a winning program. So girls who really just liked being on a team, didn't really care so much about winning. That was the type on there. There were some good players on there. But as a whole, that was the culture.
And so culture, right? Yeah.
Right. So when I got to Alabama as a freshman, I had a pretty good idea that I would play. But I went in as an attacking mid, and oh my gosh, guys, the first week was awful. I got there like July 1st, and I don't really know what happened, but me and Wes got off to a really rough start, and I feel comfortable saying that because like we've talked about that. He's like, "Oh, you've came leaps and bounds since freshman year, since you were a terror on the team," and I'm like, "Well, you've come leaps and bounds too, sir." So I mean, Wes and I have an awesome relationship. Not just me and Wes, but the assistant coaches too. But it was tough. It was not a good start. I got there, it was my first time away from home. I just left a place like we talked about where everybody kind of knew me. But I was excited for that. Like I was excited for nobody to know me and like to make my own like legacy and like have something that was mine. And I don't really know what got us off. Oh, I'll tell you. I know at least one of the things. I'm like, why were we in a bad spot? I had been working out at the indoor. They told us that you could go into the indoor, football's indoor, 24/7 access. And I really enjoyed working out later at night. And so it was like 10 o'clock, and it was me and like two other girls and two other baseball guys. And honestly, like we were working out. Like we weren't messing around. Like we were there to grind. And so it's like whatever, 10:30, and this administrator walks in. Well, you already know this isn't looking good because I already don't think administration means anything to me. And so
you still hadn't learned?
No, I had not learned. She comes in hot. She's like, "What do you think you're doing?" And like she came in hot on us, and I did not take well to that. And I said, I just turned around. We're dripping sweat, guys. I'm like, "What do you think?" I said, "Getting better. What does it look like we're doing?" And she did not expect me to respond like that. And I shouldn't have responded like that. I should have been respectful for sure. But I mean, like, I didn't know who this lady was. It was my first week at Alabama. And she came in like guns a-blazing, accused us of stealing stuff. And I was like, oh, and there were two other football players that were in there working out. and she didn't say anything to them. She just ripped us a new one. And so she rips us, and then she turns to leave. Why don't I just keep my mouth shut? I said, oh, but you're not going to say anything to the football players, are you? And she stops, and she just keeps walking, and she doesn't turn around. And I was like, I was mad, so I didn't think anything of it. And a couple of days later, it's media day, and I'm coming down the steps, and Wes is coming up the steps, and he's like, are we being disrespectful? And I was like, I had already forgotten about it. I was like, what? Like, sir? And he's like, I heard that you were disrespectful. And I was like, I'm so sorry if she interpreted as me being disrespectful. Because, I was just mad. Like, I was, looking back, obviously, that was not the right way to handle that. But at the time, I was learning. I was 18, away from home. I'm still learning. Thankfully, I'm not the same person that I was when I was a freshman. But, I just was like, I'm sorry that she interpreted as that. And he's like, all right, well, so he kind of got mad at me. And I think that wasn't like the first thing that got us off to a bad start, but that definitely didn't help. And then that season, we went 2-8 in SEC play. Okay, I told y'all. There's 14 SEC teams, soccer teams. 10 make the SEC tournament. We finished second to last. It was so bad. On top of that, like, I was playing out of position, so I was playing right wing back, and I never played there, but I just wanted to play, and there were some seniors and veteran players that were playing attacking mid, and so I was playing right wing back, and so I was already not super comfortable there, but I was like, whatever, I'll make it work. And I think he was just frustrated with me, thinking I was going to come in and bang all these goals right off the bat. And to be honest, I hit the crossbar like 10 to 12 times that season. And it was just like a curse. Like, they literally said I was cursed. And then that's in your head, right? And I'm like, I'm cursed. Like, I hit the crossbar twice in one game against LSU. Like, I could not score. So halfway through the season, and I was the first one out to training. I was staying after, taking extra reps, like just trying to do anything to shake the slump that I was in. And just nothing was working. And so then I was trying to do like different mental approaches, and I'm meeting with the coaches every single week, every other day. They're mad at me about something, like, because I was having fun in practice, but they took that as me not being serious. And like, one of the coaches yelled at me because he thought I was talking while he was talking, and I wasn't. This girl was talking to me, and he turned around and ripped me in front of the whole team. And I just sat there with my mouth shut and told him after practice, hey, just so you know, that wasn't me. I don't care if you want to make an example out of me, but just so you know, that wasn't me. And then he's like apologizing. So it was rough, because their jobs were obviously on the line too. So and I guess that's the unique perspective that I got to have, because I had, like we said, grown up around administration and coaches. So while I was frustrated because I wasn't playing well, I also knew why they were so frustrated with me, because they thought I was going to come in and save the day, I think. Like, and I'm hitting the crossbar, and I don't know what to do. And I was never late, but I was like, cutting close to things and just learning all the hard lessons that you have to learn as a freshman. So anyway, we're halfway through the season. We're about to leave and play Mississippi State in like a day or something. And practice gets over, and I'm juggling out on the field. Everybody's gone, and I'm just like depressed, honestly. I'm like, nothing.
You lost more games at Alabama than you had your entire life.
In my whole life, right.
First season.
And so like, I also didn't know how to handle losing.
Right.
So like, that was the other thing. All these things were going on top of the fact I had never lost that much in my whole life. And now I'm like, I don't even know who I am with, like, like,
you've never had to deal with it. Like, you've never had to like deal with the loss.
Yeah. Like, so, I was juggling, and he told me to come into his office, and it was just him and the coaches, and basically they were like, we don't know if this is the place for you, and handed me a transfer portal sheet and was like, I'm not planning on playing you the rest of the season, and we'll reevaluate where a better place for you might be after the season. And it was just like dagger to the heart, because I was like, what are you talking about? I'm literally giving my all. And they told me like it was like I didn't care. And I like that was the worst thing I could have ever heard. And I was like, how do you think that I don't care? I'm the only one. Like I'm out here an hour and a half after practice. Like what do you mean I don't care?
When everyone else cares.
Yeah, I don't think I care. What are you talking about? So, and it was brutal. And then like I remember I had my cleats and stuff off, and I was barefoot, and I didn't even go get any of my stuff, and I just took my keys and I drove until I found this like creek, and I just pulled over and I just sat there, and I was like, I don't even know what to do. Like I mean, low point. Like what, to be told that you don't care whenever you're giving everything and more to something is like devastating. And then to be told that I'm not going to play the rest of the season. And I have been starting and playing like decent minutes, even though I necessarily wasn't playing great, and I was hitting the crossbar every game. And so my club coach called me, and this another, like there are specific moments that like kind of change your life in the way that you think. And he's like, I hear you're out there effing around, grabbing ass. And I'm like, oh, sorry. And I'm like, then I'm mad all over again. And I'm like, I am not, like I am. And he cut me off, and he said, he's like, Rouse, he said, get your SHIT together and stop playing the effing victim. And I was like, he's right. But I was like, even if I wasn't necessarily in the best situations, and whether the coaches handled all the situations correctly or not, like if you picture yourself as the victim, you're only going to set yourself up for failure. And that was kind of like that really opened my eyes, and I was like, you're right. And I was like, well, what do I need to do? Because he just told me I wasn't going to play for the rest of the year. And he told me, he was like, you go to him before the next game and you tell him to start me. And I'm like, okay. All right. I was like, this man just told me to transfer, and you want me to go tell him that I need to start. So in my own way, go to Mississippi State, and like after warm up, we're going in to put our jerseys on, and I was like, Wes, and he was like, what? And he didn't even want to talk to me, and I was like, you need to play me today. I was like, you don't have to start me, but you need to play me today. And he didn't say anything, and he was just like, just nodded. And then game starts, and we are getting thrashed, guys. I mean, we got 4 goals scored on us in 15 minutes off of a long throw. The same play, 15 minutes. And I'm just trying to sit there, and I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to try and be a good teammate. If I'm not going to play, I'm going to try and cheer the girls on. So I'm up there, and I'm like, come on, guys. Like, but you're down 4-0. I mean, like,
it's tough, yeah.
It's tough. And he's putting in players that haven't seen the field at Alabama the whole time. I mean, he is making a point. He is putting everyone in except for me. And second half comes around, and he still doesn't put me in. And I'm like, dang, this is how it ends. Like, this is how this is how my time at Alabama ends. And he put everybody in. And like the girls who never thought they were going to play, and I'm the only, everyone's sitting down at the bench. I'm the only one standing up, like trying to cheer the girls on. And there's like 20 minutes left, and we get scored on 5-0. And he says, Mattingly, go warm up. And I'm like, are you joking? right? I'm like, this is messed up. This is wrong. And he's like, go warm up. And I'm like, are you kidding me? And I'm like, whatever. Like, I'm going to, I'll score 5 goals. Like, that's the mentality you have to go into it with, right? Like, I wasn't ready to give up. And I walked over. We actually talked about this, me and him, just the other day. We were joking about it, so it's fine now. But I walked over to him, and he said, this is your last chance to show me something. And I'm like, my last chance is going to be when we're down 5-0. You have all the subs in, and you expect me to do something. Like, that's my head, right? And I was just so mad. And I was like, whatever, I'm just going to go out there and do everything I can. I end up scoring my first college goal. And it like 5-1, okay? And there's the video. I have the video, but I get the ball out of the net, and I'm trying not to smile because we're losing 5-1. But at the very end, I get the ball and I roll it, and I just crack this smile, like, take that. Like, and I just wanted to go over there and, like, just, like, look at him and be like, was that good enough for you? Like, now, like, and we end up losing 5-2, and we obviously don't make the SEC tournament. We go 2-8, and it was horrible. And in my end of the year meeting, they said, they were like, if half the goals that hit the crossbar would have gone in, you'd have been SEC Freshman of the Year. And I'm like, that's not helpful to me. Yeah. So it was just kind of this understanding that I wasn't leaving. He couldn't push me out. And he obviously understood that. And our relationship just got better and better. And by the end of my time at Alabama, like, I love Wes and Mike and J-Ro, and like, I could go into their office and we would talk soccer or not talk soccer, or I could call him now. And I mean, he's just awesome, and our relationship is so great now. But like, talk about adversity and stuff, like, it's kind of nice that our relationship, we went through that. So now I feel like we went through so much hell together, to be honest, that we're so much closer. Like when you go through tough times with somebody and you're closer with that person after. But yeah, it was tough. It was hard, and like, we lost, and then we won a little bit more sophomore year, then we won a little bit more junior year. Then COVID hit, and we played, our season split in 2, and usually we play a full season in the fall. Well, this time, so COVID hit my spring sophomore year. So we played an SEC schedule in the fall, and then we played our non-conference SEC play in the spring. And pretty average fall season. And the spring rolls around, and we weren't allowed a preseason. So we had just been off for 2 months, essentially. And we were only allowed 8-hour weeks. So, I mean, you can only be like 4 hours with the ball, 4 hours strength and conditioning. Which whoever came up with that rule is, I stand by it, dumb. Our bodies were not ready to take on a full non-conference schedule. And the first 30 minutes, and I don't blame it on this, I definitely think it was something that was like meant to happen to me, but first 30 minutes of the first spring game, February 19th, I'm taking a girl 1v1. She gets a toe on it, and it she pokes it the other way, and I'm in the air getting ready to turn around and like explode to go try and defend and win the ball back. And I come down, all my weight comes down on my leg, and my ACL just goes. And I mean, like, it felt like shotgun to the kneecap, like, pah. And I was just screaming. Like, I have been close to so many people, like girls, I've been close, physically close. Like, girl is running and then destroys her knee right 5 yards away from me several times. And so there's like this this kind of cloud that's like looming over women's soccer, especially just with like knee injuries. And it's a problem. And when it happened to me, I was like, no. And they told me it before the MRI came back, they told me it was a sprained MCL and that I would be back in 3 weeks. And I got in the elevator with my trainer, and his name's Jeff, and I'm on crutches, and I said, what happens when the MRI comes back tomorrow and it says I tore my ACL? And he goes, I would die. And he's like, we're like joking. We're like, ha ha ha, like, you know, no way. And I said, if that was an MCL sprain, I don't want to know what an ACL tear feels like. And then the next day, he texted me and he said, are you home? And I was like, this is not good. House call, not good. And so I was like, yeah. And he's like, I'm going to come by. And I was like, you know what? Maybe he's just going to bring me a brace. Like, maybe it's, you know, I was like trying to make it feel better. But I knew what was coming deep down. And he said, my dad was there too. And he's like, yeah, you tore your ACL, unfortunately. And I was like, what? Like, that wasn't even in the, you know, and it's like the world's crashing down. And I just went in my room and cried, and oh, it was horrible. And like to have the thing that you really love most and you dedicated your whole life to, just to be taken away like in a blink of an eye, and to be told that like you're not going to play for at least 9 months. And like the other thing with knee injury is like you hear so much about girls messing their knee up and not coming back the same. And so I was like just distraught, because I mean, like, one, I wasn't going to get to play the thing I loved most, and two, like, you know, you don't know how your body's going to react to rehab, and you don't know how like you're going to handle that until you go through it. So it was not fun. It was rough.
I'll pause you there. Like, crazy, the insane story, just like getting there, and it wasn't what you thought it was going to be, right? And it was a rough start, and you kind of found your groove after freshman year, and kind of found where you belonged, and started to get a little feel good, and obviously COVID happened, but you're still playing good. Like you're on the team, like doing good stuff.
Yeah.
And then just bam, the ACL comes, and it's like I had just kind of, not just, but you had figured it out. You're feeling solid, and the ACL, which obviously everyone knows, like an ACL is one of those things. Like, to your point, like it's sometimes unrecoverable. It can end careers, and we're gonna get into like a little bit of your rehab process, because I know it's a big part of your journey. But like I think, at least from my perspective, when I heard it happened and had seen it, like I knew, just like knowing the edge and the drive that you had prior to this, like I knew, I was like, okay, like she's gonna be okay. Like, it's gonna be 9 months, yes, I get that, but like she's gonna come back and she's gonna be just as good or better. And I know like there's a lot that goes into that. Just kind of talk to us about like that process of rehab and what those 9 months are like.
Yeah. I mean, everybody's rehab is different, but when you tear your ACL, the people who have already torn their ACL will be the first one to tell you, welcome to the club. And you're like, this club sucks. I don't want to be in this club. So yeah, I get my surgery, and I just had a horrible, like, I had so many problems. I had patellar tracking issues. So your knee, like your joint in your knee sits like this. And when you bend, it like stays in that groove like this. And for whatever reason, I think I had so much swelling, or I don't know what the problem was, but it would slide off and pop like that. And so I'd be like, I mean, it would take your breath away, and it just like, it would make you want to throw up every time it happened. And like, I threw myself a little pity party when I got surgery, because I'm like, you know, why me? Like, you know, this sucks. And then I was like, all right, at some point, like I was like, all right, I have to change my mindset. This can't be my mindset for the whole rehab. So it was probably like a month of me, like, you know, wallowing in my sorrows. And then I was like, you know what? I'm gonna attack rehab every day, and this is my game. My game is bending my knee and getting it over 1 3-inch hurdle. That is my game. So like every day just became like a challenge, and you know, I definitely it was definitely a test in my faith journey as well. Because like I grew up a believer, but I wouldn't say that I had my own relationship and really knew what that meant to have a relationship with God until I got to Alabama. And thankfully I was surrounded by some really good friends who were really good like spiritual mentors towards me when I first got to Alabama. And they kept me from doing getting too stupid, being too dumb. But I anterior ACL in the grand scheme of things is not on the top list of worst things that can happen to you. But for somebody who has dedicated their life to this and that's all they cared about, that's all I cared about, it was like literally the worst thing that could happen for me, which ended up being the best thing. Because I think I think y'all probably can agree whenever, no matter what level you play at, when you're done playing your sport, it sucks. And then like you have to figure out who you are without it. Yeah. And so I think like my walk was good and my relationship with God was good, but this was like the true test, because I think ultimately we all live our lives with somebody, what do you serve? Do you are you on the throne? Is soccer on the throne of your life? Like, what money? What is it? And I would definitely say soccer was the thing that I had at the center. And I think God just wanted to let me know that was not supposed to be the center. I wish he would have done it a different way.
Something less painful.
Something a little less traumatic would have been nice. But no, I'm grateful for the experience. And I think that was so eye-opening for me to come to terms with the fact that, like, I am Riley Mattingly, not the soccer player. Like, I am Riley Mattingly, believer and follower of Jesus Christ. And that is the thing that will never change. And that is something that can never be taken away. And so I think when I realized that I felt like that was my why of the rehab, then soccer became, attacking rehab became so much better, because I felt like I had a bigger purpose than just I'm coming back for soccer. Which was huge. So rehab was, it was rough. I had so much muscle atrophy. It looked like my calf was the same size as my thigh. The patella tracking issues. I thought I was like, I'm going to come back faster than they've ever seen anybody come back. Yeah, right. That didn't happen. And, so that season comes around, and it was my senior season. To back up a little bit, I got engaged that summer. So I tore my ACL in February, graduated with my undergrad that April, and then after graduation, got baptized, and then the next day got engaged. So there was a bunch of stuff like going on, but I was engaged too during the season. And so that summer too, I was just at Alabama by myself, which was really tough to go through that by yourself too. And my mom was planning my wedding for me. I didn't do any of it. And then the season comes around. Yeah. I don't want to do that anyway. So props to my mom for that. But the season came around, and I thought I was going to be back for halfway through. And I get released to play. There was 5 games left, and then plus whatever postseason was going to be. And I pulled the crap out of my quad. And I was like, are you kidding?
Yeah.
It's not even my knee. I was so mad. And so I get that better, and I'm back cleared with 2 games left, plus whatever postseason. And Wes called me, and he said, hey, I really think you should think about redshirting. And I mean, shattered heart, right? Now you're talking about a whole spring and not playing again till the fall. Even though, I mean, you got spring games, but it's not the same, you know?
Right.
And so I was like, okay, I'll think about it. So I think about it, and we were playing Kentucky. It was our last home game, and we were at pregame meal, and before we leave, so this is 2 hours before the game starts. And before we leave, Wes calls me over, everyone's gone. He's like, so what did you decide? And I was like, oh yeah, I decided that I want to play. And he went like this. He's like, what? And I was like, yeah, why did you act like that? Like, obviously I want to play if I can play. And I already had an extra COVID season, so it wasn't like I'd really be burning, you know, like I still had a fifth year no matter what.
Right.
He was like, I think you should really think about this. And then I was kind of upset because I had made this decision that I wanted to play, told him that, and he was like, are you sure? And so he was like, let me know before the game. And he's like, you need to think about it some more. And I was like, okay, I guess. So it's senior night. And so it was my senior night, and like go through senior night, go through warm-ups. I don't know if I'm going to play. The game starts. I'm on the bench, but I'm dressed out. My first game dressed out. Don't know if I'm going to play. The game is happening. And I'm, you know, Wes is right there coaching. And it's kind of drizzling. And we get scored on. And we were not supposed to get scored on against Kentucky. Like, it was kind of one of those games where it was like, we are supposed to win.
Yeah.
We get scored on, and there's 10 minutes left in the half, and he looks at me after we get scored on, and he said, what did you decide? And I was like, and I just sat there, and I was like, and I couldn't bring myself to be like, yes, put me in, I'm ready, because, I mean, I think he thought I was going to go in there and kind of like save us, and I was like, I wanted to say that, I could, but I knew I wasn't ready, like, my body knew I wasn't ready to play. And so he told two girls to go warm up behind me. We ended up winning, and it ended up being fine. But then, at that moment, I was like, dang, I just decided to redshirt. And that year we ended up.
A little context on redshirting. So, like, I want to kind of get like under. So I know, like, football, it's like 4 appearances, and you can't. So was it like if you played this game and you couldn't redshirt anymore? Is that where you were at?
Yeah. So there's like. You have a certain amount of minutes that you can play in your non-conference games for soccer, I think. And then once you hit a certain point, if you play even a minute, like you're done. It's burned.
So you were at that point of like, if I play this game, my shirt's out.
I step on the field, my red shirt is gone. Yeah. So I redshirted, and then that year we end up winning. So Alabama soccer had existed for, I think, 30 years at this time. And we had only, in school history, had only been to the NCAA tournament for 3 of those years. That is not good.
Rough.
Yeah. In all 3 of those appearances, we've leveled an NCAA game. So we end up winning our first NCAA appearance ever, in the first round. We ended up getting smashed by BYU in the second round, but like it really sucked to not be on the field for that. Obviously I had a different role.
I want to talk about that.
Yeah.
I saw your mom at a basketball game, and I was talking to her about like what you were doing, what was going on, and she like showed me a picture too of you like on the sideline, and like you well, from what I was told, like you kind of sort of like an assistant coach type of role for the team, and like really you saw what was needed and what you could provide when you were hurt and when you weren't able to play, and like you kind of slid yourself where you were best fits. Like, was that accurate or no?
Yeah. Definitely accurate.
Okay, yeah, that's important, right? You gotta know your role and understand what it is you're able to do, and sometimes you're not able to be the guy that's scoring every goal. You have to provide sideline help or whatever it might be.
Right. Yeah, so it was tough, and like I was a captain for that spring season right when I tore my ACL, and so then I was like, well, dang, like I'm supposed to be a captain for this team, but it's hard to be a captain when you can't earn the team's respect on the field and like off the field, like in workouts and stuff. And so I was like, all right, I gotta be like, I have to be the best player coach I can be. Like, I have to encourage, I have to, so like a lot of times the girls, the forwards that would come out, like it's not so much that I think they respected. I mean, I think they respected what I had to say, but I think I was just somebody that they felt like that we could bounce ideas off of each other, and I'd be like, oh, this is what I would do. Like, you know, you're doing good here, but me watching you, you know, like when you're in a game, it's kind of hard to be like, oh, what should I change? What should I fix? And so I found myself in a lot of those situations with forwards and midfielders, and talking about like what I saw, and definitely a lot of encouragement, and just like trying to will the team and let them know that even though like I'm not on the field with them, like I'm on the team with them and I'm there for them. So yeah, that definitely took on that role, and which was cool too, because it kind of gave me some perspective on what it would be like for, I mean, just a little bit, right? Like for a college, to be a college coach. And I definitely think that that's something that I want to try whenever, hopefully in the future, I'm done playing. So it was kind of cool to have that experience and just to be able to come back and help other players. Like they did like a video on me, Alabama Athletics, the following fall. And they did such an amazing job with this video. But I had so many like high school age girls reach out to me, and like I was stopped at like basketball games, like random places, and they're like, you're Riley Mattingly, like your video is my inspiration, like just how my story inspired them in their rehab. And if nothing else but that, then it was worth it. So yeah, it was definitely a different role, but it was not like, the experience wasn't fun, but I'm definitely grateful for the experience.
Yeah. And those are some, like you said, you realized what your purpose was at that point. That's just another moment in your life that helped you realize what the bigger purpose is, what the whole point is. So if you've had a rough go, like injury after injury, COVID, like nobody could have foreseen that coming. Does your college career end there and you make the decision to go professional or the next level, or are there additional years as well?
Yeah,
senior season, but
right. So that was senior season, and so I had a COVID year and I had a redshirt year. And Wes would joke, he'd be like, oh, now you just need a pink shirt, which is you have a child. And I was like getting married, so he would joke, he'd be like, you could put your baby in the Iron Bowl. And I was like, what? Like, to see, so I stayed. So that was 2021 fall. And then I played that spring, and then I played on a summer league team that summer. And then my first game with Alabama, I was like, I ditched the brace. It was my first game. I was like, I'm ditching it. My first game without the brace was the first opening game of 2022. And I knew we had a special team, and we had crushed summer workouts. We had, I think, one or two girls transfer, but for the most part, like, we had the whole team coming back. So it was like, I mean, just the stars aligned, and like we were all on the same page. And so 2022, we play Vanderbilt in our exhibition game. And I think I had one or two goals. And I think like just to be back, like the joy, just playing with joy. And it was like just freedom. Like it was amazing. And then like we had an unreal year that fall, that 2022 fall. We went to Florida and played, I think, FAU. It's either FIU or FAU. I don't remember, but we played well, we won, and then we played Miami. And Miami is like, they were at the bottom of the ACC, and so we were supposed to win. It was a game you're supposed to win, especially with the hype around our team, with everybody coming back. And we lose in our second like game. And so it was kind of like it took the wind out of our sails. I ended up getting a yellow card. I was in the ref's face. It wasn't good. I had a black eye. I got punched. Yeah, it was just like rough.
Listen, no bad blood. I'm just, I can't say.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, listen, nothing personal. We did give you the black eye intentionally.
Whatever. No, but I mean, the loss sucked to Miami, and it we all got together and we were like, what in the world? Like, we dominated. How did we lose? And I'll never forget our strength coach. His name's Derek, and he brought us in at the lifting session after that game, and he gave us a really good speech about how this could be our motivation for the rest of the season. And so we all decided in that moment, like, we're not losing another freaking game. Like, we're going to die on this field before we walk off with a loss. And we don't lose another game until the SEC tournament championship against South Carolina. I mean, we go 10-0 in SEC. It was the best time. It was so much fun. And it was just like, I talked to some of the girls because, like, you obviously, like, the sports world is small, and everybody from other teams too. After that game, like, we called it a necessary loss, and we were like, we're just gonna be animals. Like, we refuse to lose. This is our year to give this program its first championship. And we not only did we not lose in SEC play, we did not tie. Like, we won every game. And it was just a party. We played Florida on the last game, and it was really cool too because we weren't playing particularly well, to be honest. But, like, my freshman year at Alabama, the fans in the stands, I would say oftentimes there was more for the opponents than there were for our team at our home field. I mean, it was sad. It was sad. Like, sometimes our parents didn't even show up because they were like, it's going to be rough. And like, this season we had, it was overflow. Like, they had to bring in extra stands, and people were in the grass behind the goals, and, like, just to see how much, people love winners. It was so cool. And then what was even cooler was I assisted one of my best friends. Her name's Kat, and we were roommates for 4 years. And we kind of entered this thing together, and she didn't like me at first, and then we became friends. That's a whole other thing. But I assisted her, and she scored, and that was the game-winning goal. And so it was kind of really cool, like, full circle moment to us. And then we were just like, it was so fun after it was just one big party, and there were like the sparkling grape juices, and we were like just popping them off in the locker room. And then we got to host. We got the 1 seed in the NCAA tournament, and it was just so fun. And going from winning your first NCAA win and then making a run to the Final Four is just like, we were kind of like the Cinderella story, I guess, even though we had an unreal team, but just because we hadn't been there before. But yeah, it was such a special team. No other SEC, or it had been since 2008, the Florida Gators was the last team to go. Yeah, you go ahead, Gilwarren. To go to go 10-0 in SEC play. And I think that team had, like, Abby Wambach on it. Like, it's crazy. Like, that team was stacked. So, yeah, it was a lot of fun. And to finally be able to give, like, Alabama a championship, Wes a championship, and, like, to see the results, the fruits of your labor,
what you were recruited for, right? What you're going to do.
Thinking back to when I was sitting in the office with him in 2015 and being like, come help build the championship program, to seeing that happen, I was just like, we did it. Like, not where you never want to be, like content with where you're at, but just to get that first step was awesome. It was so much fun.
But you finally got back to what you're used to, which is winning. So I'm sure that was a whole extra level.
Yes. Yeah. And then, and I got married in January of 2022. So that season I was married too. And so the commentators had a field day too. Riley Mattingly Parker. And like, I'm playing the game and like, we have a massive, Jumbotron. And I'm in the middle of the game, and I feel like I see me out of the corner of my eye, and I hear the bench going, ooh. Yeah, I'm like, we're in a game.
Yeah.
I look up on the Jumbotron, and they have my wedding picture, like, plastered up there. And I'm like, distracted. But, so that was a cool season just because it was, the result of so much hard work of the team. And like I was married, and that was my first season back from the ACL. So it was just so many cool things. Like this, awesome.
Yeah. So does that's a heck of a highlight to be able to do that. Like Ryan said, that's what you were recruited to do. And so are we at the point where you make it to the national team? You're on the, is this, and there's some sort of Mexico team too? Like what's going on with that? Where are you at now?
So I decided to enter the draft for the NWSL, and I get drafted at pick number 31. And
full circle. Realize that you wore 31 at Bama too. I'm guessing, that's crazy.
And not at Bama. At Bama, so my freshman year, I wore number 33. And me and Wes are like, burn it. We're like, burn that jersey. It is cursed. Like, we were like, don't let anybody else wear that because it is just, it's cursed. And after my freshman year, I was like, I don't want anything to do with anything that I had freshman year, so I got to change numbers. And so that spring, I was like, 10 kind of has meaning in the soccer world, just like that's your...
That's the guy.
That's the guy, yeah. And I wanted to be the guy. And I definitely wasn't the guy my freshman year, but I wanted to be. And so I wanted number 10. And he was like, well, this is kind of a special number. I was waiting for somebody special to give it to. And I was like, this jerk. So I said, well, let me wear it for the spring. And if you don't want me to wear it after the spring, I'll give it back. Let me earn it. And so I earned it that spring. And he let me keep it. And so I was number 10 the rest of my time at Alabama. And then I got drafted, the third round, the 31st pick. And it was a really cool experience because like that is what I had wanted my whole life that was the goal. Yeah, that was the goal. And then to finally be there was like, I mean, it's just unreal. Like to actually be at the point that you've been wanting since you even found out about it when I was 7 or whatever.
We talked about the baseball field. Like there was times where we were having conversations like, this is what I want to do. Like, there's no job or like career I want to go into. I want to be a professional soccer player.
Yeah, it was only plan A, and there was no plan B. Just because I just love the game that much, and so I got drafted, and it was awesome, and so I get to Louisville, and I'm there for 3 days of preseason. And just because you get drafted doesn't mean you get a contract. So I'm there for 3 days. I think I got to train with the team twice. And after like the first or second day of preseason, my agent calls me and he's like, hey, this team in Mexico wants you. And I was like, okay, but like I'm at Racing. And he's like, yeah, but you don't have a contract. And I'm like, that's true. And so he was like, well, let me ask, like, I'm going to put this to Racing coaches and GM and we'll see how they feel about you if they want to give you a contract. Because if they don't have any intention on giving you a contract, then they'll be like, hey, send her to Mexico, right? So they decided to sign me and loan me. to the Tigres in Mexico, Monterrey. And I was meeting with the coaches at Racing, and I was like, look, obviously, like, I want to see this through, but if you think that this is the best move for me and you think, like, this will help me, then I'll go. And they were like, we think you should go. And so I went, and Mexico was just like I'd only been there for 3 days of preseason. They signed me and loaned me, and I'm gone. Like, I didn't even meet all of the girls. It was just insane. And so I thought I was going to be in Louisville. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to interrupt, and so I just wanted, like, we're talking about business decisions prior. So, like, can I ask you what was your contract for? Like, is it a season? Is it 3 years? And is there a dollar value to it? Are you able to share that?
Yeah. So, I think unless you're like maybe a top 5 pick in the NWSL draft, and even then, most all rookies get the minimum contract, which is better than it used to be. It actually just went up either last year or the year before. I think before it was like $24,000 a year, and now it's $36,000 a year, which is, I don't have to tell y'all, it's not a whole lot.
That's minimum wage, right? If you
Yeah.
week.
Right. But the good thing about it, so one thing they do include, though, is like, they take care of housing, and a lot of your meals are at the field. So, you really don't have to spend a lot of money if you don't want to, and you can save for that.
And the other thing you said, they loaned you to the Mexican team. What is that worth to the Mexican? What is it worth to Racing to lend you out?
So for the benefit to Racing, the benefit to me is that, I'm a rookie, and NWSL is, a highly competitive league. And so they thought by sending me to Mexico, I could go get a lot of minutes and experience, and then come back to Racing with some pro experience, more than they thought that they would be able to give me. So that's kind of like the reason that they would be doing that.
All right, so you're a rookie. Then you've got these other players that have larger contracts that need to see playing time because that's what the team is spending their money on, and they're willing to invest in you to develop and become better. And when you do come back, you're going to be a much better player than you were prior.
Right. So that was the goal. And the other thing is, so when you're loaned, the team that you're loaned to, they take care of your salary. So Mexico, the pay was nice.
Yeah. Afford a little bit more down there.
Yeah. I think I ended up making much more money in the short time that I was in Mexico, just because of how much more support they have, and like how I think they get a lot of the money and support from the men's side too. So like, it's just a huge deal. And obviously you have richer clubs than, a lot of the others. And I went to, I think, the richest club. So, and the best club in Mexico by far. But I got there, and thank God that when I was at Alabama, I'm a good student, but my reason for going to college was never school. My reason to go to college was soccer, to be honest. Yeah. And so I graduated with an undergrad in public relations and a minor in Spanish. And I really liked my minor in Spanish. That was like for me. And so I'm glad that I had that. And then I ended up doing like a year-long master's in sports hospitality management, and then another master's in marketing. So I ended up leaving Alabama with like all these degrees that I didn't even really care much about. I just had to stay eligible.
But tú hablas español now, and you're in Mexico, so it's helpful.
Mucho hablo. Oh my gosh. Sorry, go ahead.
What city was the Mexican team in that you played?
Monterrey. So it's in north central Mexico, and so, which was super nice because it was only like an hour and a half flight I'm from Dallas, so obviously, And so my parents, like, it was a super easy flight for them.
Yeah.
And I got there, and I hadn't even, first of all, when I was announced that I was going to play on Tigres, my social accounts went through the roof, like through the roof. And I hadn't even played yet. And so, and then I got there, and like they had to take care of some like paperwork and stuff, so I wasn't allowed to play yet. But I was there for like a week or something. And there was one day when I went out and I took an Uber. I didn't have a car, so I had to Uber every single day, which was not fun. But Monterrey was such a cool place, and I Ubered to this coffee shop, and I'm like kind of nervous because, you know, even though I know some Spanish, it's different when you are there and you have to use it, and they are, you know. And I go up and I'm about to order in Spanish, and I feel this hand on my shoulder, and this guy walks up to me, and his hand's on my shoulder, and he looks at the cashier and he says, "Do you know who this is?" And in English, he says, "Do you know who this is?" And the guy's like, "No." And he says, "This is the American striker. This is our new reinforcement for the Tigres." And he's like, "Whatever she wants, it's on me." And I'm like, what is happening? Like, what is happening? And
that's surreal.
Oh, it was, so that guy, we ended up like sitting and talking, and I was kind of just relieved to talk to somebody who was like English speaking too. And because I mean, like, I was nervous, and you know, and he is the nicest guy. His name's Esteban, and his wife's name is Nina, and we got to be super close, and like we still text each other. His wife works for the organization now, and he is awesome. He is the nicest guy. Like, the people of Monterrey were just, I do not have enough good things to say about them, and how much support and like how much they like loved me being there. Like, and not just me, but like the team. Like, they just cared about us, and like we'd be out, and obviously like I have orange hair and I'm a little bit lighter complected. So like I'm at the mall and people were like, you know,
yeah, that's her.
yeah, that's her. And their nickname for me was Guerita, which means like little white girl, or like blondie. And so I was there, Guerita, and I'll always be there, Guerita. But yeah, it was just my relationship with the fans, and for that to be my first experience as a professional athlete, and to get my debut with that team and score in my debut, and like
that was insane. I remember that.
Insane.
I remember seeing the video. It was like electric. Just like the crowd was going crazy. Like, it's like a dream come true.
It was amazing. And like I couldn't even have like written a better story myself. And like I had been there for kind of a while, but like it took me a little bit to get back, like to get up to speed with all of them, and as far as like even fitness, just because they were already 5 games in and I was just coming off of off season. So like I get she puts me in, and I'm so excited to play. And we were playing Leon, and at the time John and I were staying with a girl on the team. Her name's Mia Fischel. She's awesome. She played at UCLA, and she's a baller. She plays at Chelsea now, and and for the national team. And we were living with her, and she's like, that's like, first of all, that's your teammates. Like, you don't mess with your team. Like, the other team comes at your teammates. Like, what do? You go back them up, obviously.
Right.
Mia was getting subbed out, and I was in the game for maybe 5 minutes, guys. Like, this is my first impression for this league and my debut. And Mia's getting subbed out, and she goes, like, she jogs off the field, and this girl in Leon goes over and shoves Mia. And I'm like, and they had been kind of like doing some stuff like all game, and so I was already like uncalled for, you know? And the ref was over talking to somebody else, and so she didn't even see, but I saw, and I saw her shove Mia, and I was like, in my head immediately, I was like, I'm about to get a yellow card. And I like, there's some hilarious edits that some of the fans made, but I went over and I shoved her as hard as I could, and she's like stumbling backwards, and then there's like it wasn't a brawl, but everybody came together, and all of a sudden my arms are tied behind my back, like somebody's holding my arms and like whisking me away, and I was like, I'm good, like I'm fine. And then we got a talking to, and I got a yellow, and the other girl got a yellow, and that's really all I cared about. I just wanted that girl to get a yellow. And me was like, thanks, bro. I was like, I got you. And I was kind of nervous how the team and the fans were gonna take that, because I didn't want them to think that like I was a dirty player, but I wanted them to know that like these are my teammates, and I might just be a lone player, but like I'm not gonna just sit here and take that. And and they took it really well, and I think it earned a lot of some brownie points with them. And so they love that. And even when they would come see me, they would be speaking in Spanish, and they'd be like, when you shove that girl at Leon. I scored 2, guys, like scoring like 10 minutes later, which was awesome. But yeah, it was so much fun, and just memories I made there were awesome.
Yeah, that's incredible. I had to look up Monterrey, Mexico, and like that just looks like a beautiful place to even be playing soccer. Like there's like mountains in the background, and it's actually like looks like a thriving city and all that. It's a beautiful place. So
yeah, it was.
I
was kind of nervous too, because I had never really been out of the country like that before, and so I didn't know what to expect, and like I didn't want to like psych myself out by looking up pictures and videos before. So I was like, all right, I'm just gonna like take it in, and it is just like gorgeous in the mountains. And I've never lived in a big city before, much less I think like it's the second most populated city in Mexico, behind Mexico City, and they have like 5 million people there. So it was a great experience, but just so different. Like when I go warm up, they'd be chanting like, we want Guerita, like, and I'm like, yeah, please.
Yeah, what they said.
Yeah. Did you hear that? You hear that? Yeah.
Incredible. So, and you said that was just for a few months though, until the the team, that season starts up.
Yeah, so Mexico has 2 seasons. They have like a season in the first half of the year, and then there's like a little bit of a break, and then they have a season in their second half of the year. And then they have they call it Champion of Champions games that they play, and the winner of the 2 seasons play each other. But I was just there for like 3/4 of the spring season, and that's how long my loan was. So then Racing was like, hey, come back. And I was like, okay, so, like I had a year contract with Racing, and like with the option of renewal. And so I went back, and I got there like, I don't know, I think I was there for July. Yeah, I was there for July. So when I got there, half the team was gone at the World Cup. There was like 6 players gone for the World Cup. And so I was kind of like, oh, this is like kind of a good, situation for me. Like, maybe I'll get to play. And yeah, I think I don't know, I'm trying to be careful. I'm trying to
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out how I want to word this, but it just didn't work out. It just didn't work out. They had the players that they wanted for forwards, which kind of just left me with, like, what do we do with her? And then when all the girls from the World Cup came back, they had to cut somebody because there was too many on the roster. And so that was me. And I was kind of like, it sucks. Like, we just,
right.
I was like, dang.
No one wants that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they technically they waived me. So basically, like, they put me on the waiver wire, which is basically like the transfer portal, and all the other teams can opt to take you or not in a 24-hour period. But I was like, nobody's going to take me right now. Everybody's having the same problem that we are, which is roster spots. So I kind of knew, but honestly, it was for the best, because the whole last year, sometime around March, my hamstring really started hurting. So this is kind of segue into where we're at right now. My hamstring was hurting just a little bit, and then like it started hurting more and more and more, like throughout the year. And then when I got to racing, I was like, I thought my hamstring was torn off the bone, like right up on your butt bone. Right. And I was like, something is wrong. And I remember doing an exercise, and my left foot went completely numb. And I was like, I have to go to the doctor. This is, and then, but it did, like, I didn't tell anybody that I was hurt, because I was trying to get renewed. And I was like, if I don't play and I'm hurt, they're just going to cut me anyway. Yeah. And so, I kind of told them a little bit. I was like, my hamstring kind of hurts. And they're like, oh yeah, just, like, try and push through. And, I tried. So they end up waiving me. I go to Alabama, because I'm like, all right, I got to rehab this hamstring. Like, this is bad. Like, I couldn't run. It was just horrible pain, and like in my hand, up high on my hamstring. And so I do a month of rehab. I get to Alabama in August, like 20th. And I do rehab the whole month of September, and they give me a steroid shot, see if that would help. And it didn't. It got 0% better. And I was like, it's right here. I could pinpoint exactly where the pain was. And so, like, it wasn't getting better. So they were like, all right, we're just going to scope it and see. So in the beginning of October, I got a scope. So I went, like, into the surgery room not knowing, like, what was even wrong. And then I woke up, and obviously you're, like, drugged up. And so I still didn't even know what was going on. But obviously, they were like, they're called neurofibroma, which is benign nerve tumors. And I had 3 benign nerve tumors in my sciatic nerve, right on my, right next to my hamstring. So that's why I thought my hamstring was messed up. They're like, your hamstring looks great. And I'm like, oh, great. Like,
it still hurts.
Yeah, it hurt. So I am super grateful to Alabama for even taking me back in and helping me with all of this. Like, I don't know what I would have done without them. Like, honestly, I was in so much pain. And if they would have been like, oh, too bad, so sad, like, I don't know what I would have done. Like, I taken out a massive loan to go to the hospital. Like, I don't know. Yeah. And so I've been rehabbing with them. So the first 2 months was like horrible, horrible nerve pain. And they were like, it's either going to feel better immediately, or it's going to take 6 months. And unfortunately, it's taking 6 months. Yeah. So I was, battling some nerve pain for the first 2 months. And then now it's just been like getting, like fitness and back playing soccer and back all that stuff. So that's where I'm at right now. I'm in Tuscaloosa rehabbing and getting close to being back 100% and healthy.
That's just like a testament to Alabama right there, and the staff there that brought you back in. And obviously you provided them stuff, and they provided you an opportunity, but just a really good relationship that not very many people, like, that's something that I was wondering. I was like, where are you rehabbing at? Because that can be a lot of money, and that's really cool that they let you come back in and work with them.
Yeah, I mean, like, I owe so much of just where I'm at now to the University of Alabama. Like, not only are they helping me with this, but like, they were with me through my ACL, and just like the stat, like you said, just a testament to how, I hope to all the Alabama haters, they can at least, root for the staff for how much they care about their athletes. And like, I have so many friends that play collegiate sports or played collegiate sports at other universities, and they don't receive near the care and treatment that we've received at Alabama. So yeah, I'm just super lucky and glad that they've taken me back in and are helping me out again. And hopefully one day, this is what I hope one day, that I have a bunch, like not a bunch, like I don't care how much money I have, but I hope I have enough money to where I can make a huge donation and like get like the stadium named after me, and like
That would be awesome.
like huge renovation, top tier.
Would it be Riley Mattingly Parker Stadium, or would it be Guerita Stadium?
So honestly, I've thought about this, and I don't know what I wanted to say.
It could be
because I don't know. I feel like you still want the stadium to sound cool too, right? Like I feel like Mattingly Parker Stadium is kind of like a mouthful, so gonna have to come up with something good.
It could be the whole. I don't even know how to say it, but the little blondie girl in Spanish as the stadium.
Oh my gosh!
And then the field is Riley Mattingly, because they name the stadium and the field, right? So they could be like the stadium Guerita, and then
yeah. Oh my gosh, that's such a good idea. I'm using that. I'm gonna use that. That's awesome. Yeah.
It has a little touch.
Yeah, that's a little touch of.
It's right in Tuscaloosa.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like, what's the?
Yeah. Is that the drink?
Yeah, what's that drink? Oh my gosh. Yeah, we're gonna have to spell it phonetically. WER.
Well, all the props that we just gave to Alabama staff, we just insulted them by their cultural intelligence. We can cut that part out, though.
Look, they understand. We understand.
Yeah.
They know. Yeah.
Awesome. So you said that's where you're at right now. You're rehabbing, and obviously there's goals of continuing professionally. I don't know if you have a contract in place, or you have something that you're looking at. But is there a we wish you the longest soccer career ever. But will you be taking your degree post professional sports and doing something with that?
I don't know. I don't really know. Like I think if there's anything my ACL has taught me, is that I think God has a plan for me, not necessarily me having a plan for myself. So I would love to play, 10 more years at the highest level and never have an injury, and then be able to leave the game better than I found it, and maybe try college coaching. I say that because you never know, like, if you're gonna like that side of it. But I definitely think I would like to try that. As far as like my degrees, I don't see myself using like those specifically. I think it probably just, if anything, I can use my Spanish because I love Spanish, and I obviously love Mexico. Maybe that'll be a good in for me. Hope if I'm ever a college coach, recruiting some of the top Mexican girls. But I don't know. I always joke that I love, like, have y'all seen the Nolan Ryan documentary?
I have not
started it, didn't finish it yet.
Guys, y'all have to watch it.
Like this, we sound terrible, Nick.
It's so it's so good. And ever since I watched that, I was like, he's my hero. Like, I'm like, he played at the highest level for so long and
dominated.
Dominant. And then he retired on a ranch. That is what I want for my life. It would be awesome to maybe be like a college coach and be able to have some land and mess with the cows every morning and go train some elite players in the afternoon. That would be that'd be ideal for sure.
Is there any opportunity that you go and play like back in Mexico or like in a different country?
Yeah, I hope so. I love Mexico. I would definitely go back if they would have me. I guess right now, like, my agents, like, we're just kind of waiting until I'm like healthy, because last thing we want to do is send me somewhere and they're like, what is this broken toy you sent us? Just get healthy and then kind of put put the word out and just be like, does anybody want her?
Who needs Guerita?
Yeah, and so just see what the options are whenever that I'm healthy and that time comes. And I think it's close. I think we're definitely super close. So it'll be around the 6-month mark in the middle of March. So and
very
I'm
soon.
feeling good. Yeah, very soon. So hopefully I can have a better answer for y'all.
Next time on the pod. Hell yeah.
We'll have to do a follow-up.
Pod update.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We love to see that. Definitely, we need, obviously, we're going to get you some followers. Not that you need it. You blew up once you went to Mexico, but when people would listen to your story, it's an inspiring story, and they'd be like, yeah, Guerita is now, doing this, and she's going to go to the World Cup next time. So
yeah, please.
They're going to be cutting spots to it. Yeah.
We're about to get a bunch of Tigre followers when she.
Oh yeah.
This.
Hey, look,
yeah.
I'll send the Incomparables your way.
Bring it on.
Let's go. Yeah, right now our followers are in U.S. and there must be like 1 or 2 listeners in Canada. So
Canada,
if you can get us south of the border, let's do it.
Yeah. You may need to put a little Spanish translation at the bottom, but
it's okay.
We'll figure it out.
That's todo bien. We'll figure it out.
Todo bien.
Yeah. Nice. So last juicy question for you. And then maybe we'll start, closing out with our Gilly likes to do a fun question, and then we'll do, another series of questions. But for those that are inspired by your story, you kind of mentioned it too, women's soccer, figuring things out. You had your contract as a rookie, but what can a typical contract, what's a salary that someone should expect? Like, hey, I love the sport of soccer, but I definitely need to be able to provide for my family. What would be another, what are some of your teammates making?
I think probably around 50. Obviously, so you have the soccer stars, and the really cool thing about women's soccer in particular is that just this off season, there's been record-setting contracts. So Maria Sanchez at Houston Dash, she signed. So before her, I think it was Trinity Rodman signed a $1.1 million contract over the course of 3 or 4 years. And then Ashley Sanchez signed one that was 1.4 or something. And then maybe Mal Pugh or Sophia Smith, but it's just going up and up and up. And so, I mean, those are definitely the soccer stars for sure. But I think, if as long as they're pushing the envelope and pushing the line up, that's going to bring the rest of the level up too. So, I mean, probably around 50. The longer you stay in the sport and the more experience you have, you're able to negotiate more. And that's something that I'm learning too. I'm, pretty new. This last year was my first year. And then, this year I'll continue to learn. Maybe probably around 50,000 a year. It's still, it's getting there. There's such a increased, support and interest in women's soccer, which is awesome. So the more interest there's going to be, the more money in it that there's going to be for sure. That's
been the hardest part for, U.S. soccer across the board is interest, awareness, support, right, and sponsorships and all that. Obviously we're 50 is something that, can definitely support a family. And, especially when you're yourself playing the whole time anyways.
And what I didn't mention is that's your salary from your team, but I think there's a lot of opportunities for sponsorships and stuff like that where you can get some extra money. Yeah, brand deals and stuff like that. So that's super common. That's something that I don't know a whole lot about. But I hope to, continue in this career and learn more about that. Who wants to sponsor me?
Yeah.
And this is my plug. This is my
Charitos.
Yeah. Jaritos, yes.
Jaritos by Guerita.
Yeah, Jaritos by Guerita.
Yeah. That's awesome. And actually, sorry, I thought of one more silly question. Soccer noob here. You guys talked about number 10 being the guy. Is that Messi? Who's the guy?
Oh, Messi is the guy.
Oh,
Don't let anybody tell you.
Okay.
Yeah, you weren't like, why did you ask this? Look,
in terms of like the stud on the team, like who's the like in like I don't know how to explain it. Like who's their go-to guy? Like when you need a play to be made, or even not even plays. Like who's your leader? Who's the person on the team that like everyone looks to and is just the known like we got him. But yeah, Messi obviously is the guy for his team. But that's just kind of the idea.
yeah, I don't know where the kind of like legend tradition started, but
So that is a thing. It's a
no, it's a thing.
got it.
Yeah, across. I mean, Mbappe is 10 on PSG. Like Messi's 10 at Inter Miami, and like so. There's a ton. There's a ton of 10s throughout. Pele, Maradona, like the greatest. I don't know when it started, but there was all those guys were number 10.
I was 10 on JV basketball, so like just kind of little nugget there.
You're the guy.
I was the JV guy, yeah.
I'm the JV guy, no big deal.
Back in my high school days.
Hey, somebody had to do it. Somebody had to be the
do it,
JV
and I was
guy.
like, I guess so.
I guess.
Fine.
But yeah, no, we've this has been good. I mean, we've ran you a little long. Hopefully, you don't have to go anywhere. But we'll start wrapping it up. We got a few questions for you. I'll ask one, and then Nick has a few. But I think you might have seen it on the show notes, but kind of put you on the spot here. I know thinking back to the days that we'd like sit in the car before practice, or just like sit through practice in the car because we didn't want to be there. We listened to a lot of Drake music. So if you had to pick one Drake song to listen to, you only had one song. You couldn't listen to any other Drake. Like you could listen to other music, but only one Drake song to listen to for the rest of eternity. What would your go-to one be?
That's so rude of a question, to be honest. Like, there's so many, and like, old Drake has my heart. Like, Take Care album and Thank Me Later album. Like, okay, let me think. All right, probably. Okay, I really like Miss Me with, Lil Wayne's on that track too.
Right.
And then, I mean, there's so many good ones on Take Care. I really like Shot for Me, and I really like
that was
Ride.
my guess.
So,
my guess was Shot for Me for you.
Yeah. Shot for Me is just too good. It's too good.
I thought
It's so. And then I really like The Ride though. The Ride is really good.
We got to go with one though. You said 3. I'm not going to accept that. We need one.
We've narrowed it down.
I probably listen to Shot for Me the most out of those.
All right. Yeah, I mean it's a terrible question. Like it's brutal. There's no reason.
No, that's just rude. What's rude? All right, we can go with that one, but
Shot for Me.
it's definitely honestly, it's definitely a toss up between that one and Miss Me, because I love the song Miss Me. I think that's more. I think if I had to listen to one, Take a Shot for Me might be my favorite, but I think if I had to listen, I could only listen to one, I would listen to Miss Me.
Okay, we got Miss Me then.
Yeah, Miss Me. It's Miss Me.
Miss Me. All right. Final answer.
Final answer, locking it in.
Yeah. You know what I learned? I don't know if you ever heard the song 9 a.m. to Dallas by Drake.
Yeah.
Oh,
9 a.m.
yeah.
to Dallas, yeah.
It's a newer one.
So, no. This is old. This is like
it's come back and like super popular nowadays, though, is what I've seen.
So, and I think there's some like history to it. Like for whatever reason, you can't listen to it on a paid streaming episode.
That's right.
Paid streaming service. You can only hear it on YouTube or something. And
that's why I don't know. It was new.
Yeah, I don't know what this deal is, but like I remember reading something about it. Like I wanted to make it like the background song for. I just took a trip to Dallas to see Gilly for New Year's, and I put the story on the gram and wanted to put that as the background. I couldn't pull it up, so I started looking at it, and I guess whatever reason, like it's mixtape or it was released and it wasn't, it's not assigned to a label. I don't know, but for whatever reason, I was very disappointed to find that out.
I don't know. I'm gonna have to go listen to it because I thought I knew what y'all are talking about, but I don't know if I do. So I'm gonna have to go listen. All right,
I think you might be able to.
It goes hard, especially for Dallas.
Yeah.
Might be fun on SoundCloud, like somebody else reposting it, but definitely not on the main ones, like Nick said. That's why I thought it was new, because like I'd never heard it, and you showed me it, and I was like, oh, like what's this new Drake?
Yeah, new Drake. Wow, new Drake, a lot like old Drake.
Yeah. Now he doesn't do the old Drake anymore.
I know. But he's so good. He's so smart with how he has evolved his music, even though like I prefer the older stuff. Like he's just too good.
He adapts to the times, right? He finds what needs to be made,
Yeah.
All right, let's lead into the final segment with the final series of questions here. One of them maybe we already have the answer to, but you're allowed to switch it up if you need. I won't be as strict as Gilly. But so these are the same questions we ask every guest, so we get to know each of them kind of on a similar level. But so for you, could pick, and again, like I guess this is tough, right? When you say pick your favorite or something, there's so many options, but I do want to hear from you. What's your favorite book, either fiction or nonfiction? What's your favorite song? Maybe it's Drake. And what's your favorite movie?
Okay, favorite book. So actually, I just my not New Year's resolution, because I kind of think resolutions are silly, just because I feel like nobody ever. One thing I want to get better at is reading, and I was kind of roped into a book club in December.
Oh, no.
I know, big book club.
Can't let them down.
Yeah. First sign of getting old is a book club, I think. So
it's true.
So I didn't really like the book we read, but I think I was like, oh man, I definitely should start reading more, even if I didn't really like this book. Prior to that book, I really had only read for school. And so there's a lot of school books that I liked, but I think like the second, this is such a juvenile answer, I feel like, but the second Percy Jackson book, The Sea of Monsters, I think it's called.
What
like that, Gil Martin?
No, because one of our last guests said Percy Jackson also.
Really?
They picked The Lightning Thief, though.
Oh, well, that one's not as good.
We'll have to get that debate. Yeah.
But yeah.
Like, don't cross my mind anymore. That's funny.
I know. But so yeah, I guess like, when I think about the book that I read just for fun, that's probably my favorite, like that I read on my own. However, I think that will probably change now that I've started reading like my own now. So I have started reading Treasure Island by Robert Stevenson, and it's really good. And I really love like adventure stories is definitely which is why I think I like Percy Jackson. So that's my vibe for sure. But yeah, hopefully, I think after I read some more books this year that I'll have a more updated reply. Until then. Yeah, Percy Jackson. And then, okay, what's the second one? Favorite song?
Yeah. Favorite song.
Okay. There's so many. But I really love I Can Still Make Cheyenne by George Strait. I think that might be my all-time. Because I just love I love George Strait, and yeah, I just love that song. And then my favorite movie, this is rude. This is more rude than a music making me pick. And I actually
like to see you suffer.
No, thanks. Appreciate it. Can I give you my top 10? I have a list.
Give us a couple.
Okay.
Give us three.
Because just obviously, full disclosure, everyone else always struggles with the pick one. And so, like, for instance, one person said, like, Drake is my favorite artist, so I can't pick a favorite song. But
yeah.
So you can pick a couple movies if you want.
I'll give you number one. Actually, I'll give you... I think I have it, but I'm like, oh, wait. Okay. Lonesome Dove. Y'all have probably never seen that. It's more of like it's a movie, but it's so long that they broke it into 3 parts. So Lonesome Dove. The dog is really excited about it too, and it's so good. It's might be like a little bit slower than some people's liking, but it's a western. It's a western movie.
Okay.
And it's just about like it's about these two Texas Rangers, Augustus Call and no, Augustus McCrae and Woodrow Call. And they're like best friends and they were Texas Rangers and they want to like move cattle up from Texas to like Montana or Wyoming, I think. But it's so good. It's just I love it. And then I'll give you the other one, Rocky Four. I'm a huge Rocky fan. I'm sure Gil Martin would knew that one was coming.
Yeah, I remember Rocky.
Yeah. So there's, I mean, I have so many others. Like, I'm a huge John Wick fan. So like, I think those are my top two.
No.
But I want to mention. What do you mean? No.
Oh man, we need to get Riley back on for one of our like, movie.
Well, we need to talk
things, and
movies.
or we can talk movies for hours.
I have so many opinions. But Pirates of the Caribbean, John Wick, Casino Royale.
Oh yeah,
those are up there for sure.
Right. So, some solid stuff up there.
So top two, Rocky Four and Lonesome Dove. But yeah, I definitely have. I mean, it's so tough because like it's hard to pick a favorite, especially when there's in so many genres.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, and I think that's why I like Lonesome Dove because it has a little bit of everything. Like it's adventure, it's friendship, it's action, it's funny. So I think that's probably why I like it the most.
It's a good pick. Yeah, so we'll put it in the show notes for everyone to follow along. And one thing I've been trying to do is when we hear like all the songs that the guests pick up, mention, I go and listen to it, and the movies I haven't watched all of them just because it's a big commitment to sit down and also find it. But whenever someone mentions a movie, like I just finished 12 Angry Men that one of our other guests mentioned, and so yeah, it's for me, I find it fun to go and watch what everyone else is in.
Yeah. That's awesome. What did you think? Yeah, I 12 Angry Men is really good. Yeah. That's so funny. That's like a classic. Like you don't hear that much, but yeah, that's a really good movie. But yeah, that's fun questions at the end.
Yeah, we ran you long, and so we'll let you go. But we had a great time with you today. Obviously, and a really impactful story that a lot of people can take into whatever it is they do, but sports specifically for sure. So awesome to hear it. I know it. I've talked to you about it before, but really diving into the details was awesome to hear.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. This is cool too because if anybody, hopefully there's some funny stories in there too. But if anybody has gone through a rough time and can listen to somebody else having a rough time but still have some success, then it's good. So
right.
Yeah, no, it's great learning about your story and obviously hearing every step of the way and how you've overcome everything. It's something that listeners can obviously take inspiration from and resonate to a degree. So really appreciate having you on, and that story was awesome. And we'll be yelling "Hoida" from the stands. So
perfect.
Thanks.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Of course.
All right, wishing you the best.